We are taking our hats off and jacking in. It's a VR episode, and where the hell's the Jovenshire? It's the Unpopular kids. We always do the yell thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing we do.
I just jack out.
You jack something.
People are here.
What's going on, everybody? I am your guest host, Matt Raub. Jovenshire is in Hawaii. We are talking all things VR today. It's going to be really exciting. We are scared. We're a little excited. Flitz Pete a little, so let's get right into it. To my immediate left, your immediate right, she's the wonder of all things. It's Nicole Z.
I didn't know which direction you were going in, but then I heard she, and then I was like, oh, it's me.
Definitely Steve. Yeah. Hey. And now let's keep going. To her left, joining us today, he knows all things games and probably the most knowledgeable about VR at the table, Malik Forte of the Nerdist.
What's your Eddie Murphy jacket?
I know, right? I'm kind of new hopping on the VR bandwagon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're going to get right into it. It's going to be Nutty and
Professor
Buddy. And what? Nope.
What?
Eddie Murphy. Speaking of Nutty Professor, to my immediate right, think about it. It'll work.
Yeah, think about it.
Think about it. Nope.
I have 3 balls.
He's Hercules.
And I like to teach.
Oh no, he's playing everyone at this table.
So many fat suits. It's Flitz.
Hello.
I mean, to be fair, we are in Beverly Hills.
It's true.
Oh, there you go.
Cop ones. That
You
works.
stick some bananas into some tailpipes out there?
I do, and they are often yellow.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, right up in there. Think about it. And to his immediate right, joining us again for the first time in a while, little Danny, Steve Zaragoza from SourceFed and SourceFed
I'll
Nerd.
clap for myself.
Yeah, you get your own clapping. There's an audience sound effect playing somewhere in our minds.
Yeah.
So today we've got a crazy panel of fun people. We're going to be talking about VR and all the things. But first, you know how this goes. It's lightning round.
Lightning storm.
Pew, 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 pew.
That's a beautiful graphic.
Yeah, he did it.
You did that?
He did
Nice
it.
work.
He did it with his mind.
I be arting
Nice.
so hard, son.
He's going to art the hardest.
Put some motion blur on that shit, bro.
I did
Yeah,
in the
you
background.
So to get right into it, because Joven took his iPad with him to go to Hawaii, we're going to bring up Steve's question first, and let's see it on the screen so I could read it aloud. Hey, Jessica Jahari on Twitter says, what Disney World should be in Kingdom Hearts 3, the game? This is a lightning round question, so you have anywhere between 10 seconds and 10 minutes.
You never know how far it's gonna be.
Wow, this is tough. I'd like to see a Return to Oz world. I know Disney owns it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
I think we all own it at this point.
Listen, we all own it in our hearts, that's for sure. If you aren't familiar with Return to Oz, it's the Nightmare Fuel Wizard of Oz sequel, sort of prequel.
Feruza Balk.
Yes,
With
Feruza
Feruza
Balk. Yes, you're
I had
right. We were
such a
just
crush
talking
on
about
her.
Feruza Balk. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
She's such a sweet, sweet,
The one
beautiful
with all the
woman.
heads.
That's
and
the one with the
wall.
lips.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
lips.
Yes.
She got the lips.
Yeah. It's like her different heads are in the
Yeah.
wall and she can switch them out.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah, terrifying.
I think that would be really cool. Oh, man, this is really tough.
I guess you could consider worlds like at the park, like some of those, like
yeah,
Tomorrowland.
Well, I would like to see just kind of like, have they ever done like a straight up Disneyland?
Like mocked after World or Land?
Yeah.
I don't think so. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Right? And you could like go into the rides and stuff.
Shit running
like,
amok, and you just got to hit a bunch of little shadow people as you're on. It's a
heartless.
small
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Would there be lots of waiting in line?
Well, it's
You mean
Square
grinding?
Enix, so
Grinding.
the ultimate
Grinding in line.
Grinding in line.
I think they've tried to do Disneyland, Disney World type games.
There's a mobile game
a
now.
Kinect game.
And there's a Kinect game.
Okay, I'm
that's
curious
right.
about the mobile game.
It's
Is that
kind of
any
like
good?
it's like a land builder where you can create your own theme park.
I kind of
Roller
like
Coaster
it.
Tycoon.
Yeah, a little bit, but
Can
it's
you
Disney parks.
make a roller coaster that doesn't end and it just kills everybody on it?
Perpetual coaster.
Try and get everyone in the park to throw up.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah.
But you're saying sticking in specifically in the Disney.
Well, I
Like,
think that works too, but like one more. What would you like, even in the Disney zeitgeist, even in another Disney property, what would you slap into the Kingdom Hearts world?
what about like Black Hole? The Black Hole.
Just the
Remember
Black Hole.
Yeah, with like Vincent, that robot. Remember the little
Oh,
robot that flies
yeah.
around and stuff?
Oh, man.
Sorry, I'm an old man.
No. It works.
some
Google
movie-
Disney black hole.
Yeah.
XXX. It'll
And
be
be
really
careful.
good.
With safe search off. Have fun.
There is a porn star named Black Hole who's very into Disney stuff.
I love her.
Disney bound indeed.
Oh no.
Disney bound and
Lightning
gagged.
round. No. Now I know why Joven yells it. All right. Next question. Lightning round. Flitz, your question is from Indigo X Child 98. I like that name. What are your thoughts on the Kingsglaive, Flavin Glavin, Final Fantasy 15 movie trailer?
It's interesting.
So
because
now this is okay. So this is I dropped off after 7. I know you know this role. So this is a movie that's coming out, but there's also a game called Final Fantasy 15.
that's been on hold for years. That wasn't
Jesus.
originally Final Fantasy
Right,
15.
right.
13 verses.
It was
13
13 verses,
verses.
and several things have happened since it was 13 verses that it has to be
keep up with
15.
it.
It's so
But
much.
So much.
it's exciting. One, because how many times have we been playing games and said, why don't they just make a whole movie with these dope CG graphics?
there you go.
It's that we're finally
That's
getting
cool.
that.
But it's not the cutscenes. It's a legit movie.
It's a legit movie, but it's with the same graphics that they do use to make the CG.
That's a cool elevator
cinematics.
pitch.
And
I'm in now.
So it's
I'll buy
exciting
2.
because it's showing where we're going with how we're melding our medias, just like with Quantum
Batman.
Break.
Quantum Break,
You
which
play
is
Quantum Break,
excellent.
and then you watch a whole episode of a TV show,
Yeah.
and then you finish some stuff, and it's fun, and we'll see how far it goes. As far as finally we're getting a sweet Final Fantasy movie. We're getting a hopefully sweet Warcraft movie. Yes,
you didn't like
this
the
is
Spirits
the dope year of the
Within?
nerds. I did. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, I didn't
but
mind
I
it
didn't have
either.
any expectation
Digital
of it.
Alec
Like, I was
Baldwin
like,
will haunt my
it's.
nose. He's
Uncanny
horrified.
Valley.
It freaked people out, but I mean, I've been peering into video game world so long. I was like, this is normal. Okay, it's
Yeah.
a CG
Right.
movie.
I felt the
so-
same way about Advent Children. It's just like,
I loved Advent
Oh,
Children.
yeah,
Like I
that's
saw
right.
that. I really
Advent
dug
Children.
that.
And good for Final Fantasy. I'm glad that they're keeping this going because Advent Children is another one I've watched several times and I've enjoyed, and it's great to see these cinematic worlds be worlds.
But at what point is it going to be the final?
it's
Fantasy? Dad jokes, lightning round. All right. Next question. This is why you got me, boys and girls. Nicole Z, your question from Boo the Artist. If you could make a video game about 3 characters from different universes, who would you pick and why?
Wait,
Lightning round.
that's so big.
Lightning round.
That's very
Okay,
big.
so
That's a
3
loaded
characters
question,
from
isn't
any IP
Any IP.
and put them in a video game.
One video game and pitch your movie, your game.
Okay, so let's take a bunch of Nintendo characters.
Oh, here we go. All right.
And no,
Pokemon.
I got a heart out and now.
such a big question. How do I even what?
Think about it. Lightning round.
Oh God. Oh geez.
Come on.
Okay, so then I would probably do like maybe like a first-person RPG with maybe we can get all the different Yokai Watch, Pokemon, and Digimon, and then maybe we can like combine it into one universe.
Mon,
of,
Mon.
Yokai
Mon.
Manji.
Mon. Mon. It's a Jamaican RPG. Mon. Welcome to Mon.
And then you would, I mean that took a turn from not what I thought, but now I'm there and now I'm with you.
Yes,
Hey,
and?
did you go to Mon Con?
Mon Con? Mon Con is good.
heard Rihanna
Wait,
was
I
gonna be
couldn't
there.
go to that one because I went to that food con. Nom Con.
Num Num Universe Con?
Nom Universe Mon Con.
And that's what I would call it. There you go.
I love it.
Lightning round.
There's no world where that would ever happen, though, right?
Why?
Because it's too many. Because Digimon is not part of
IPs.
Pokemon, right?
Well, I mean, Nintendo could probably buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney can buy everything. Why can't Nintendo?
Okay.
And then Yokai Watch is on Nintendo platforms.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like there could be some kind of like synergistic.
Who owns
realm.
Digimon?
Digimon.
Digimon.
Isn't it Saban? I feel like it's
I thought that
Saban.
was Namco Bandai.
It may
there
be
you go,
Namco
maybe it is.
Bandai.
Namco
yeah.
Bandai does like getting in bed with different companies.
By the
so
way-
it could
Yeah,
happen.
they're
That
big
is true.
collaborators.
Digimom is
I
a
like
game
when I
I'm
said
working
that.
on for the VR
Digimom?
headset. The digital mom, and she takes care of you.
Digital momster where she's a
Digimon.
gangster at the same time.
That one where the soup is too hot, that one level you're working on, it's real good.
Isn't that one where she won't let me masturbate without knocking on the door 100 times?
Isn't that what Project Milo was supposed to be?
That is it, with the little girl.
Yeah, there was a
Oh,
little
man.
dude in the red shirt.
That's
Yeah, the
right.
little boy.
What happened to that?
We're going to get into it. Lightning round.
We're not. Lionhead's gone. Bye.
All right, con, nom, nom. Next question for Malik is David Todd on Twitter. With Far Cry going into some unique time periods and places, where or when would you like to see them go next? Now, you dug Far Cry Primal, right?
Yeah, I thought it was good. At first, it was kind of like, oh man, another Far Cry. They're doing the same crap over again. But after I got into the meat and potatoes of the game,
Setting a bear on fire. That's really all you could do.
I know, right? Not entertaining at all. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. I didn't understand anything the characters were saying, of course, because they made it that way. But I felt from a gameplay standpoint, it was great. As far as that question goes, for some strange reason, I've always wanted to see a game that took place during the times of slavery.
Oh.
No, bear with me. I just feel like no one's actually like tackled that whole time period or even attempted to do it because it's just such a taboo subject. And we had a little bit of it in like BioShock Infinite. They had a little bit of like the civil segregation period.
That's right.
Did you hear about Telltale's Alex Haley's Roots?
No.
It's not happening. That'd be amazing.
Oh my God. Telltale doesn't give a fuck at this point.
But you know what? Funny thing is, that is 100% believable.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Totally believable.
Okay, so
Why didn't they do an April Fool's joke?
here's the $10 million question. From whose perspective?
Say what?
From whose perspective do you do it from?
It would have to be from the slave's perspective.
I would think so.
But I mean,
You have to make decisions, and there's conscious choices in the modern day. Like as a slave owner,
you're a slave.
This is getting dark. Come back, Joven.
It's getting dark, all right.
It's getting to the point where only two people can contribute to jokes about it right now.
No, you can contribute. Nope. You're not the number. What are you? What are you?
Mexican.
I got it. So you're basically a slave, and you get to choose to either be that slave that kind of like panders to the master and kind of does what he says and like rats out the other slaves, or you could be like the rebellious one.
So it's like
that breaks
Infamous.
everyone free.
I would play that in so many forms.
Yes.
Wait, so you could be like the house guy?
You could be Uncle Tom, or you could be like.
You can be Steven from Django Unchained,
Yes,
basically?
Yeah. Here's a pop culture reference. I can do that. Yeah. It's just Django, you guys. It's okay. Tarantino did it.
There you go, Django RPG.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Produced by Ken Levine or
Yeah.
Hideo Kojima.
There you go. Oh shit! A
Kojima's
Kojima
roots.
slave game would be insane.
Kojima's roots would be so complicated.
So many explosions. That'd be so good. Where did they even get that much gas back then? Lightning round. All right, Steve, this one's for you.
Okay.
Infinite Studios on YouTube said, the number's 3 today. What 3 classic games would you reboot and remaster for new consoles?
I'd like to see, I think they did this sort of, but I'd like to see a completely revamped, big, huge Earthworm Jim game.
Yes.
How about that?
Yes.
We get like a super
Hell yeah,
massive,
man.
big Earthworm Jim, get everybody who's involved in the original back again.
That'd be cool.
Wow.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I feel it's like weird. Like there was that whole weird Kickstarter for Toe Jam and Earl for a while. It's
Yeah.
like, why wouldn't you just make
Yeah.
that game again? Like,
Yeah.
what are you losing on?
That's very strange, yeah.
Yeah, those guys went on to make a game called Doki Doki Universe too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Speaking
think
of
it-
that, I don't know why I got to this, but I want a new, legit Katamari Damacy game.
Katamari
Like
Damacy.
new generation, makes use of all the next gen graphics, like
Okay.
put
So
on
much
PS4.
motion and VR that could be utilized to make
Yeah,
it
could you
really
imagine,
good.
especially with
Yeah.
like,
Wow.
yeah, you're rolling
There's
it.
trash everywhere.
I want it. I want it bad. And I guess that it's a lot to ask for with like Telltale doing a lot of their point and click adventure games. But I want to see LucasArts a lot of the like the Roots game. Like the Roots game. There was a LucasArts Roots game. You remember that?
No.
Tim Schafer was involved.
We're gonna get letters.
But I played a game called The Dig. Does anybody remember The Dig? It was
No.
a
I remember
classic.
Dig Dug.
I remember
Not
Dig
that
Dug,
one.
yeah.
The-
I remember
no one remembers
Holes
The
with
Dig,
Shia
man.
LaBeouf.
The Dig was a LucasArts game, and
Diglet.
Robert Patrick was the voice of the main character.
Wow.
And it was a super badass story. It was like a Steven Spielberg produced game.
What?
Story was amazing.
What
Game was
console?
amazing. It was PC.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and maybe
Yeah.
Mac too. The
Wow.
Dig. Look it up.
The
LucasArts.
Dig. One with 2
Dig.
G's. .com.
I don't think it was
Dig.com
2
the
Gs.
website.
Big, animation's huge.
Yeah. We also would have accepted Boogerman or Comic Zone. So
Boogerman.
lightning round, right? Where the hell's our Comic Zone redo?
What the fuck is Comic
Oh
Zone?
my God.
Sega, man.
Dude, Sega Genesis, he was a
I was a
comic book
Nintendo
artist.
kid.
He was a comic book artist that got struck by lightning and got sucked into his
Yeah,
like
wicked ponytail.
yeah, sucked
That's
into
not
his like
how lightning works.
Todd McFarlane-esque. Lightning did everything in comic books. It was
It
great.
sure did.
He got sucked in his comic book and he literally jumped each individual level was him jumping from panel to panel.
That's pretty
And
rad.
he's so
Slowly becomes
good.
the heroes
Yeah.
that he created. Like, yeah.
What
And
about
he was, like, martial
Toonstruck?
arts.
Did you guys play
Toonstruck would be
Toonstruck?
great, yeah.
Christopher Lloyd as a comic book
Toonstruck?
artist. It was like Monkey Bone, but it wasn't Brendan Fraser. It was Christopher
Chris Lloyd, yeah.
yeah.
God, so good. There's so many. All right, Flitz, your question is...
Lightning round.
Yeah, Mr. Sketch says, if you had the chance, which doctor would you travel with and why? I'm assuming Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Or Dr. Doom.
Just that
Kevorkian?
Dr.
Yeah, Dr. Kevorkian, Dr. Jack.
Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
Dr. Luke.
Dre.
No.
No, I don't know.
No.
I've heard.
No.
No. I've actually done that before.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Really?
Real life.
We're
That's
gonna
real
talk
life.
after this.
Yeah.
There's so many questions. All right, which doctor? Who?
Whom?
Yeah, Dr. Whom. Tim May concern.
That's it. I haven't really thought about it. It would have to be either Tennant or Capaldi.
Pick one.
You can do what you want.
No.
You're not the bossy.
Pick one. Lightning round. I own you.
Yes, he literally
Wait,
is.
no.
No.
Not on this episode.
No.
I would go with Tennant. I would hang out with
Okay,
Tennant.
all right, that's the best one.
I'm behind that.
Tennant, out of all of them, Tennant was,
The most attractive.
I mean, it's the word, because he also played this character, but he was the Casanova. Like, he was the one who, like, he missed to get bitches. Like, he got it,
Fresh
and
pair
he
of
was
chucks.
with it. Even to the point where, spoilers, but if you haven't watched it, another version of him got the bitches in another
that's right.
dimension.
Yeah.
And is living with it, and they're doing the bangy bony. So he
And that
gets-
one's with
he's-
Rose.
He's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
monk.
One
He,
bitch.
he's the least monk-like, and he's the most warrior-like out of all of them, honestly.
Yeah.
Next to, like, Malekith leather jacket doctor.
Yeah.
Malekith.
Malekith. You go to Malekith. You go to his role as a Thor 2 villain where you didn't even see his face or hear his
Are you
voice.
talking about Eccleston?
Yeah.
Eccleston? Yeah, there you go.
You couldn't even go Invisible Man for 2 episodes of Heroes.
No.
All right, Tenet, I'll take it. Next question for Nicole. What is it? Well, here we go. This is for you. I think you actually saw this one. What new
Okay.
Pokemon type should be introduced in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and which Pokemon could be changed to that type?
That's interesting. I really hope that Sun and Moon utilize like a day and night system, but like Dark and Sun Pokemon kind of exist, but they kind of explored that in Silver and Gold, but didn't really expand upon it. And I think it'd be cool if they do that. And there's a Moon type and a Sun type, and there's a lot of Pokemon that could go in there. Like Espeon's Psychic, but it evolves during the day, so it could be like a day type Psychic or something like that. Or I also think it'd be cool that in it's Gen 1, but Porygon and Porygon 2, which I think is Gen 2, it's like a computer type, but they don't really explore technology or computers or like hacking or anything like that, and that would be cool if
That's more so Digimon than.
yeah, right, see, I'm going back to Digimon, but they could expand upon that, and I think that'd be really cool.
I like how your answers have like a shared cinematic universe between them all.
The Pokemon
I also like
Cinematic
the
Universe.
Come on.
I want some like face of like, oh, good thoughts, Nicole, and like, I'm only getting that from you.
Well, those are
You're
great
only
thoughts.
speaking to Pokemon.
No, I think they were great. I understood about an eighth of what you said. No, I get that there's a sun and a moon. I get that there's a sun and a moon.
Okay, get Jirachi right now. It's on
Sriracha?
Jirachi. It is
Jirachi.
the Pokemon gift for
Is that
April.
with teriyaki and wasabi on the side?
On the side.
Okay.
And you
Come on, a bento box?
mystery gift it to yourself if you have any of the new 3DS games.
Oh, okay.
Great job, Nicole. I love it. No, I'm a big fan.
love the wave.
New Pokemon 3DS game.
Yeah. So if you have let's
there's
see,
just a ton of 'em.
X, Y, or
I have
Alpha,
XY.
Omega, and Sapphire.
I don't have those.
Okay, so you can do a mystery gift right now
Lightning-
through Nintendo, and they're
lightning-
sending you
lightning-
legendary
lightning-
Pokemon
lightning
every
round.
month.
Nice.
So this month is Jirachi.
Lightning round.
Kiss.
Yeah. Make out. Pokemon talk. Yeah. All right. That will resonate with all of you, I'm sure. Last question for Malik.
All right.
Danielle Corum on YouTube says, and this is a good one, with video games like Until Dawn on the market, do you believe that at some point movies and TV shows will become obsolete?
Damn.
Or at the very least warped? I'm curious what warped
Just got
means.
Ninja.
Warped.
Well, I guess they would kind of adapt to whatever you're seeing.
Greninja's a Pokemon.
Greninja.
Yeah. I guess with Warped, I guess you could consider a game like Quantum Break being warped because it's kind of like the mixture of the two or the melding of
Well, there
live
was a period-
action and
That's
Yeah.
very new though. Like that just came out, and we're just kind of
What-
accepting.
Well, there's been more too. Like that game. What was the name of
I
that
think
show?
Until Dawn is one of the first ones, right? Well, because
It
Quantum
was
Break.
very cinematic.
Yeah.
It was very cinematic, but it was still a game.
Rain
It was still like a point and
Was
click.
it Rain? Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain.
Chub-
Very
Chubby Rain.
cinematic.
Chubby
Chubby
Rain.
Rain.
Chubby Rain.
But I think this person wants to know if TV shows would ever become obsolete, which of course not. I mean,
Well, that's a bigger question because you
know.
look
I
at
don't
like what
know.
we're doing,
Absolute
right?
That's the right word.
I don't think obsolete. Less
Are
relevant.
humans
Oh
gonna
yeah,
become
definitely less
obsolete?
relevant. But completely obsolete, I doubt that. You know, there's like a whole system of
Well, are you talking
programming.
about like broadcast? Because like Netflix seems to be dominating like TV kind of stuff, and like
Yeah,
all the
right.
digital formats seem to be jumping
But it's
towards
still
that.
TV. It's just
Yeah.
a different frequency that we get it.
It's
Yeah.
still
We get it on
passive
different
consumption.
waves.
Yeah.
I feel like that passive consumption.
That's
is not
why.
gonna go
That's why
away.
obsolete wouldn't really be the. It's evolving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And it should, and I'm excited for it, and yeah.
I think we all are. Well, that segues really nicely into today's subject because we're talking about the evolution of video games. It's almost like we planned that or something.
Very nice.
Virtual reality. We're talking about the song by Jamiroquai from 1998.
Virtual insanity.
It's still reality.
We're talking about that old TV show. With,
VR5.
VR troopers.
VR Troopers.
VR Troopers, VR5.
Hell yeah.
So this last week, the HTC Vive hit. It was massive. We got one in the office. We've all tried it at this point.
Oh, yeah.
It's really ridiculous. I mean, it's probably the most expensive. Yes, most
Was it
expensive.
800,
It's at $800, and it's probably the most immersive that I think we've done in the VR space.
down.
So we'll talk at the top and then work our way backwards. The HTC Vive, it's got 2 handheld controllers. It is in partnership with Steam, which, let's be honest, Steam kind of controls a lot of the video game space today.
And a lot of the free video game space, which
Yes.
is a big deal.
I think, let's go around the table. All of us have gotten a chance to play it. Steve, I think you were the most recent. You got to
Yeah,
touch it today.
first time
What are
today.
your thoughts?
I think it's amazing. Super into it. I don't know why it's more. Well, actually, maybe I do know why. So I've tried Oculus. I've
Yeah.
tried like Samsung VR, if
Sure.
that even counts. I've tried like what were some of the other ones?
So you've got Oculus, you've got PlayStation VR.
I haven't tried PlayStation VR yet.
Yeah, I think the three
Cardboard.
Google
Tried
Cardboard.
Google Cardboard. Got that Humido headset. This one seems definitely like the most technologically advanced
Yeah.
of all of them. It seems like it's like a one-to-one kind of like perfect representation of your movements.
Right.
And you also, I feel like Oculus, I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like Oculus is very like sit in front of your computer and stay there, sit in your chair. This one seems more like get up, move around, duck, jump around, stuff
You
like
live in
that.
3D space.
You're living in a 3D space.
Yeah, I think we have some video of showing people how they're doing it in the green screen. I mean, like, look at stuff like this. Like, the fact that you're
cool.
physically moving around and you're playing with the dog, whatever. I hope that's a
Blasting
dog.
it with lasers.
Yeah,
look like.
shooting it in the face. Like, this looks like, so far, the most immersive experience. And obviously, this is them green screening them into the world, so it looks a little more immersive than it actually is. But something like this, Flitz, you've been kind of messing with it as long as I have in the last week. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, as coming from, and I think Nicole may be about as experienced as I am in the whole virtual reality thing and doing all of the virtual. This is great because as we've come through the Oculus times where some people were getting headaches or being dizzy, and before Oculus even had its own camera that you put in front of on top of your computer so you can add that depth. This is. We were in the shadow beta times where most of the public didn't have it. This is the thing that the public is getting, and it's great because it's showing the polish that we have to look forward to. We like. You have the wands, the hand controllers, and that's great. But we've also seen the potential for not even having to use your hands because of this camera and laser technology.
Right. Oh,
shit,
So
is that
that's
Cooking
exciting, and it's
Mama?
exciting to get people who have not done virtual reality into it. I wasn't as nauseous, coming out of the early designs for.
Well, that's something to
Oculus and
note
stuff
is
like
that
Yeah.
I've gotten nauseous on the cardboard because
Yeah,
I
same.
think it's the
Yeah.
lag that really messes you up because your
Yeah.
brain wants you to have a certain sense of
real-time.
real-time reality and one-to-one. And I think this is the first one that we've messed with that has really given you that like one-to-one, like I put my hand up, my hands up, I put my hand down, my hands down, like it's there.
So that must
no
be
input
why,
lag.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I get dizzy super easily on that kind of stuff, and I've been dizzy on all of them.
Right.
This one, I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna be so dizzy after shooting robots and shit. Took it off.
Instead, you were excited.
Totally fine.
Instead, you're just
that's
depressed when you have to go back to the real world.
Everyone's
Oh,
so-
man.
Why didn't take the whip pill?
Now, Nicole, you got to test it today also. What were
Yeah.
your thoughts? You got to do, like, you did the paint thing, which is pretty insane, and you also got to shoot robots.
I shot robots and I shot little people that I didn't know their motivation.
They're
for
called-
why I
That was the
shooting
Roots
them.
game
They're
we
called
did. It was-
midgets.
They're called munchkins.
They had names.
Mm-hmm.
No, so this was the first time I've done the Vive, and this was the most advanced one I've done. And like Flitz was saying, like we've been playing with these for like 2 years now.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, and it's come so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like the not only the graphics and the lag and taking them off your head and you don't feel sick. Like I don't feel sick when I play them, but when I adjust back to real life, then then that's when I feel a little gross, and I didn't feel any of that. But like I don't love holding things, and I've done it 2 years ago where they could use the Kinect camera to scan my body and I could interact that way. And so I'm very curious as to why we're not using that route, why we're not using more cameras, and why we're using such big bulky
I happen to
peripherals
agree
in
with
our
you there.
hands.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's twofold. We'll dive deeper, but I think so. With the HTC Vive, it's not just a headset. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, basically it's two sensors that you kind of have to mount into your wall. You could do it you could put them up on stands or whatever, but you basically have to put them in two corners of your room so that it scans the room. So what it does is it's more of giving you personal awareness as opposed to where the walls are, rather than see exactly what you're doing with your hands.
Right.
That's what's intriguing to me, and I think that they leaned more into that side of technology versus giving the ability to use your hands, because there's so many controls on it. There's I think like 6 different controls and like a
I didn't want to
touchpad.
use them. Like I
Yeah.
didn't. Like I
Same.
understood trigger and I understood moving, but I didn't want to have to push down and focus on a UI and a menu while I'm in this world.
Well, I was okay with that, but I just felt like I want to look down when you're learning a new controller. I want to look down and see where everything is, and unless you're like studying it a bunch before you put the headset on, you're like literally in this virtual world, and I'm having people explain to me, no, you push the button above the pad. No, not that one, the one above it. I'm like, I can't see shit.
Y'all did get a crash course though, because I when I was using it as well, I wound up in like the holodeck. It looks like a holodeck, and you can
You win the
actually
porn
see
one,
the
right?
control. Yeah.
Oh, and it
Holodeck.
shows you.
You can see the
Oh,
control, and I
okay.
was like, oh, I understand my hands
that's
better
nice.
now,
Yeah.
and it made more sense. And I understand it as an extension of our hands. We've mastered this. Now we have these weird new extensions
Why
on
not
our
a
arms.
glove?
Well, we'll get to that because that's the Oculus one. The new Oculus Rift, it's actually
Yeah.
Oculus Motion, which has the touch gloves,
Yeah,
which are
just the
basically
breath running.
totally, you literally are able to move around. Well, what are you've messed with the Vive,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I've been messing with all of VR for a while, man.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I was not on the train automatically. Every time I thought about VR, I thought of 2 things. I thought of one, Virtual Boy, which we all know about. We all know about the
No.
Virtual
Great.
Boy.
No.
Yeah. And then 2, there's this weird scene from Demolition Man
Oh my God.
where Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone are like sitting across from each other having sex in
Oh
VR.
yeah.
Yeah, why
That
can't we have
tantric.
sex yet?
You trying that
Yeah.
tantric?
You've
Well, we
seen
can have
that
sex right now.
mission, that suit.
Hey, I am excited about the prospect of like having sex through VR, but not about Sylvester Stallone doing it. You know, so
Right,
then-
right.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Wait, so you're just saying you don't want to
yeah.
fuck Sylvester Stallone?
pretty
Sandra
much.
Bullock's
Okay.
And I'm saying that
Too bad because he's here.
Yeah, bring him out.
Bring us.
Nope.
God damn it. Damn you.
Not again.
I just always
Right.
clunk those 2 thoughts together though. VR, Sylvester Stallone's orgasms. We're like, synonymous. They're synonymous. But finally got a hold of the HTC Vive, because I had tried the Oculus, a few builds of it, and I was like, all right, this is cool. It's still kind of a gimmick though.
Yeah.
You know? And then when I got my hands on the HTC Vive, the fact that it was room scale, the fact that you're able to actually be in these environments
Right.
and feel a part of these environments and move around these environments, and it's like no input lag, 1-to-1 like you guys
Yeah,
said.
it's
you know?
crazy.
It's crazy. Like my first demo was the Aperture Science demo.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. You know, I'm like freaking stepping back because of certain elements that are walking into
Yeah.
like there's a robot walking in. I'm like, oh, let me
And
step
you
back.
can step back.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's
You
the best
can
part.
step
You
back.
can
But
step
you are
back.
covered in wires. So that is.
That's the negative,
Yeah,
right?
I was
Yeah.
tangled the entire
Yeah,
time.
of all the people that played, you literally had it wrapped around you like a Christmas tree.
Because I was painting.
Well, I was stepping over the cables, and I felt like I was clearing it, but it still felt kind of awkward.
That's
it took
the-
me out of the experience.
My biggest holdback on doing anything crazy, because we've played almost all the new games, right, at this point. So Brandon Latch of Freddie and Brandon has created a game called Hover Junkers, which is dope.
That game is dope.
It's
yes.
so amazing. It's basically Borderlands first person. You build up your junkie ship, and then you fly around and shoot other guys in real life, right?
that's
They're
rad.
multiplayer games.
Build your junkie ship and fly around shooting up other guys.
Yeah, but basically you have to have so much movement and the ability to move because you're ducking underneath. You're like we played yesterday. We're lying on the ground shooting around virtual
Against
things
other people.
against other people, and I didn't want to dive because there's this giant cable coming out of the
Yeah.
back of my head like the Matrix, and I was so worried that if I move, it's going to rip either my cerebro out or something is going to happen. But I mean, that's the biggest problem, which I guess that's the next step is taking
Wireless
both
headsets.
wireless headsets and taking the controllers out of your hands.
Bluetooth, like you'd think that is that powerful
Maybe the
enough?
maybe the frequencies and all the data can't transfer
Not
fast
strong
enough
enough.
yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I mean, there's also the energy. What's going to power it? Which a conversation was had.
Yeah.
There
The
can be a
sun.
belt or
Go outside, everybody. God. Well, no, so that's obviously one of the biggest negatives. And I feel like you can tell when they made this thing that they're going to focus on this with the room scan. They're not going to focus on the hand movement. They're going to focus more on the fact that it's one-to-one latency and less on the fact that it's wireless.
But it
So you're
takes
saying it's
nothing
give and take.
away
It's
from
give and
it.
take.
It takes nothing away from it at
Yeah.
all in terms of where we are now in this future as it's going. It's like I don't know how anyone. You might be like, oh well, that's bad. It's not that bad
Right.
in the grand scheme of
Sure.
all.
Yeah,
oh, exactly.
It's
setting
amazing.
it's setting a bar for VR
Yeah.
and
It
how
is.
it should be done.
And it's a high bar
There's
right
a lot
now.
of
That's
choices, too.
Well, because if you consider that the bar was set previously by Oculus Rift, which you had to be a select couple thousand in order to
Yeah.
get one, and when you
Yes.
had
And
it,
then,
you kind of had to be a bit of a guru to get
Yeah.
stuff to work on it.
You had
Yeah.
to have a high-end PC. You
A
had
smart friend.
You had a really
Yeah.
smart friend.
Yeah.
You had to have someone who was like in the know of what to download,
Right.
how to troubleshoot.
Yep.
And you had to
and
make
be
sure you had one.
stationary.
And then at the end of the
Sign
day,
in.
you're using a controller to play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which completely, to me, like when I hold like a joystick in my hand, I feel like I'm playing video games.
Right.
I don't
But
feel.
again, like the Kinect,
There
like,
were-
why, if the Kinect hadn't been such a failure for Xbox One, like
It
would this be
wasn't
a
a-
different conversation?
it's a
I like it. I have
relative
it.
failure.
but
I don't think it's a failure.
They financially they got rid of it.
Right. It is no
Yeah.
longer a success for
So
them.
like,
and that
and
is-
if, had they kept it going, would this be a different conversation?
That's the thing. It isn't as if it has not been, because we know Oculus is still kind of holding out. Like they're like, yeah, we did it. We bought.
Well, they're
we're-
going with their social play, right? Because Facebook bought them for $1 bajillion,
Right,
and
right.
that's the next
But
thing,
they're
right?
still
Because
in
so-
bed with Microsoft. There can still be a play there with the Kinect.
Sure.
Yeah, I wonder if they
as
drop
well.
Connect too soon. Is what you guys are
Yeah,
saying.
Possibly.
They
yeah,
dropped it too soon.
potentially, yeah.
Well, that's the question, right? Because if you're PC Master Race, you're going to go HTC Vive all the way. Like that's
course.
the only thing to
Yeah.
do if you're
Well,
PC all the
and
way.
that's that Steam
and if
backing.
you're but because it has the Steam backing. But if you're all console all the way, which is a good half of the gaming population, you've got the PlayStation VR.
But it seems like Oculus would be good for homebrew, like building your own apps, that kind of thing. It
Yeah,
seems very
well, it's a DK. It's a
hands-on.
DK unit. It's a developer unit
Yeah.
always. But if you look at the PlayStation VR, they go out of their way to make it. I mean, look at it. It's a very different experience.
It's accessible.
It's very
Accessible
accessible.
VR.
All you need is a console and to plug this thing in. You don't need to be a genius to play it.
Right.
It has its own store. It's going to have its own stuff that you can play in it. Up until using the Vive, I thought the PSVR was the way to go.
Yeah.
Like I literally thought
It was
that
like
was
the
the only
Morpheus
way.
But it's still not
Pro.
necessarily prosumer, the Vive, because it's still the most expensive one.
To a degree, I mean, well, here's the assumption,
There's a
right?
couple
if
of things.
If you're a PlayStation owner, the assumption is you already have a PlayStation for $400, a PS4
Yeah.
for $400. So you're adding another $400 for a PlayStation VR,
You
right?
probably bought it a year ago. Like,
Sure.
that's probably the assumption.
And that's what you need. You don't have to
pain of
upgrade
already
it.
spending $400 is left.
Right. You already
Does that
have
come
it.
with those damn ball
the
wands though
yeah.
as well?
The motion controllers does not come with the motion
No.
controllers.
No.
The intergalactic
And also,
dildos.
do
Yeah.
the PS3 motion controllers work with the PS4 ones, or
They
do
do
you
not.
need PS4 specific ones?
No, are you
This is
talking about
where-
the
Yeah.
move controllers?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The ones
The
that
move-
look
the
like
move
that split
controllers
out different
do.
colors.
So that's what you're using.
The move
Yeah.
controllers. You're using a move controller.
But you can use the
basically.
ones from the PlayStation 3
Yes.
era.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're the same thing.
Okay. So
Yeah.
some of those are in people's garages.
Yeah, so
maybe.
say you've bought them over
Next
the
to
last
your
couple of
Guitar
years and you're
Hero
like, I could
guitars.
play all of one game
Yeah,
with my PlayStation
right.
Move controllers. Now you drop another $400, you have the PlayStation VR, you get all the PlayStation games. They are probably going to put out a couple first-party developer games, maybe a Tomb Raider game, maybe
Right.
something along those lines. But I mean, like London Heist, we did a demo of, which this was the one where I was like, holy shit, this is virtual
Where's
reality.
your arm?
Yeah.
So, but
It's just Mr. Mime.
So, but with the Vive, it seems like you need a high-end PC. You need
That's the problem,
best
right?
top specs.
Because most people, if you own a PC, you probably have just enough that you need to play the games you want to play.
I don't have enough to get the Oculus.
You were saying
and
earlier-
I just built my PC last
Right,
year.
because I was playing with it with the Vive earlier, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need this now!" And then I was like, "Oh shit, I don't have a high-end PC.
Right.
I'm screwed."
Yeah.
And I do. It's just not high enough.
That makes it future-proof at the same time, though, because people are gonna be upgrading their PCs, and then when they have these machines, they're gonna be like, "I want the Vive," and as machines get better, the Vive will continue to
that's what I'm
stand
saying,
as
like-
a good machine. Because after just like I have a Dreamcast in my closet,
Right.
not using it because consoles go out of style eventually.
But you're a collector, so you're keeping it.
So I keep it, but you're gonna have your Morpheus, and then you're gonna have. Whereas though you can load up the Vive and be like, I still got this Vive, and this game has been upgraded, and with Steam is known for all their green light
But I
projects
still
and,
feel
and
like
being
it's
able
not
to.
super prosumer.
No,
It's
not
not.
yet.
Like
I don't-
PlayStation,
but
is a
none
little
of it
more
is.
prosumer.
Yeah, I don't think VR in general is. I feel
Yeah.
like PlayStation has the most consumer-friendly
Yeah,
approach to
yeah,
it, of
that's
course,
what I'm
because
saying,
there
yeah.
are already
They have an
PS.
install base.
Yeah, they have an install base, and there are already PSVR units that are out there in the world right now that people
Right.
don't have to worry about upgrading. And actually, what I found interesting is they're going to be also including like a little dongle / like adapter that hooks up to the VR just to give the PS4s a little bit more processing power.
Oh, that's right. And then they were also talking about upgrading the PS4
to
too.
the PS4K.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which is another
This
SKU. That's a
all
whole
sounds
nother
like so
conversation.
That's the
other
thing.
thing.
So we're probably about 5 years away from any of the console-based things. If you were to say Microsoft and Oculus get into bed together with Facebook, and they then jump into the game, and you've got your Microsoft and your Oculus versus your PlayStation VR versus your PC Master Race, it's the same argument we've been
same
having for
thing we've
years.
been having.
And then Wii U has a dumb.
I'm so
Like a
excited.
pair of like plastic Ray-Bans that you put on. That's gonna be
I'm so
theirs.
excited to see what Nintendo does with the NX because there are rumors going around that they might do VR.
Well, that's the question, because
Yeah.
if you think about next-gen consoles, and Wii U was one of the first to the table, if you look at the Wii U, it makes sense that their next step would be VR, because they're the ones that take it from the screen to your hands, and it's like, why wouldn't the next step just be
Yeah, but
this?
Nintendo's always about like spinning it and going like, what is everyone doing right now? Let's go in the exact
not
opposite
do
direction
that.
and do our
Yeah.
own thing.
Hipsters.
Which is
Right.
kind of what Microsoft is already doing with the HoloLens, right? So
Right.
when everyone's talking about VR, and then Microsoft said, well, VR, what about AR? And it was like, well, wait, holy shit, we haven't talked about AR
No
in
one
10
even,
years.
It wasn't even
Yeah.
a conversation.
Right, and that's
It
such a
wasn't.
weird thing because everyone was talking about Microsoft coming to the table, which is why I think that the Oculus thing may be a weird outlier. But with Microsoft HoloLens, it's a totally different game. Now, I've
is.
tried it. I think you've tried it a little
Yeah.
bit. We went to when we did E3. It's basically, it scans the room. You've got full vision, and all it does is it puts an overlay of the 3D
It gamifies
mapping.
your
yeah.
life.
But
Yeah,
it's also
exactly.
a headset
Gamifying of-
too.
It's a
Yeah.
headset. Here are the pros. Fully wireless.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
You don't need to control it. It reads your hands. Like literally, you reach out and you use your hand to control things.
That's it.
You don't need headphones.
You don't need headphones because
beams
it-
the sound into like your head. It's
Yeah.
really,
Oh,
it's
shit.
really like
Wow.
Cool.
yeah, it's
That's-
really
Oh,
interesting.
I see.
I mean, look at it. Like the fact, but here's the one catch though, that they haven't jumped into the game space with it. Right now,
Yeah, that's cool, but like, how fun is my room?
exactly.
That's the thing. It can make your room fun. I mean, right now it's like, oh, here's your desktop, and now you're in the Iron Man world, right? And you can reach and grab at different things.
Yeah.
That's what the.
Yeah, so it's pouring things out of the space, like it's doing stuff like that. Like
And
that's
then you
the
can
thing.
gamify
Cool
your
demos.
space.
Yeah, during E3, they showed a pretty cool Minecraft demo where, like, basically your Minecraft universe was like on a table.
Yeah, you can
Minecraft
shrink it
God,
down
yeah.
and you can
Yeah.
zoom into it and be in it and build as
I'm
you
into it, but
yeah.
also speaking of the prosumer edge of all of these headset devices, they're also banking on you having room in
Yeah.
in wherever your gaming console or PC or wherever that is. And I
So if
remember
you
that
live
was
on the
the
East
whole-
Coast,
This isn't counting the
So
HoloLens
screwed.
though.
Right,
Because
right.
the HoloLens, you can walk outside and be like, "Hey, pal, hello,
That's what I'm
kill my
saying.
neighbors."
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing is you
They're
don't need
truly
it in
thinking
space.
outside the box.
There you go.
Marketing team.
Hello, Danny. But I think what's interesting about that is like, so I've messed with it. You can actually reads rooms, so I can go into different rooms and it actually knows where I put holograms and stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting now, but it's not anywhere yet, right? It's not even out to a consumer level yet. And also, rumor is when it's going to hit, it's going to be about $3,000. So it is the console. Yeah, so it is a console. It is exactly what it is. You don't need the Xbox.
It doesn't require a PC.
It doesn't require a PC. It doesn't require
it's its own
Xbox.
machine.
All it needs is your Hotmail account because everything still relies on your damn Hotmail account on
Jesus
Microsoft.
Christ, are you
Services.
serious?
Yeah, yo, you better,
Oh my
you better
God.
dust it off.
No, you still.
Hotmail?
Yeah, it's your Microsoft account. So you need to have your Hotmail. I mean, most people when they got the Xbox and they created their Xbox Live account, it was based out of Hotmail.
Yeah, yo.
I mean, but if you're the hot headset AR thing without cables, without the need for a high-end PC, without the need for a console, without
Right.
the need for a living room only, you're kind of ahead of the curve already.
A little bit, right? They kind of jumped into what Google was doing with the Google Glass, which I feel like they've kind of abandoned.
too early.
Totally abandoned.
Yeah, it
They
was
were
too
too
early.
early again.
So they stepped up that game, which was like, yeah, but we weren't playing that game. No one was playing that game. Everyone cared about this. But the fact that Microsoft would jump into that space and try to avoid the VR game space, it's really interesting.
It's interesting.
I
think
doubt
that-
they're avoiding it. I seriously doubt they're avoiding it. I've been calling so many different Microsoft shots, and it's so exciting. The cross-platform to the backwards compatibility, where you're able to play PC and Xbox One both ways across the board. PlayStation's doing it, but it's not as big a deal. It's they're power moving, and they're really smart about the when they announce things and how they announce things. Microsoft is.
So then if what you're saying is true, and they do get into bed with the next VR unit, and they already have this $2,000 to $3,000 unit out, why put that out when they could jump into the VR space and be like, okay, you could buy this $2,000 thing, it's AR, it's totally different, it's not gonna work with any of your games, or you could buy this new Microsoft Oculus Rift and it'll be better than the PlayStation
Yeah, I don't know
VR.
if they do that.
Different
Yeah.
audiences.
Right.
It's different audiences.
But it's
Just-
like don't you think it's spreading the messaging a bit? Like if
well, no, because
Yeah.
Xbox is like they are Microsoft, but we see them as Microsoft.
Sure.
But they like being Xbox.
Sure.
Not necessarily Microsoft.
Yeah,
Xbox.
Xbox is a much more consumer-friendly,
Yeah.
kid-friendly.
Brand,
Microsoft
yeah.
to me is like
Yeah.
Excel and like
Yeah,
spreadsheets.
and that's where they're pushing the
Yeah.
HoloLens. It's not Xbox.
Rover.
So the Oculus, the Oculus box or the Xboculus or whatever they decide to
Scott
get or whatever.
Baculus.
Scott Baculus.
It's the latest
Scott Baculus Rift.
With the DLC for
Oh,
Quantum
boy.
Break, Quantum Leap. It's gonna be amazing.
Who's gonna make a Bing John Malkovich game for all these virtual?
Oh, it'd be so
Oh,
great.
that's awesome, you guys.
For all four of us?
Another thing I want to mention too is I feel like Nintendo and PlayStation both kind of tried their hand with AR, but they did it with their handhelds. Because
Yeah.
the 3DS had like the AR compatibility.
Yeah.
And so did the PlayStation Vita. It had like the little AR cards that you can put
That's
down.
right,
And
yeah.
they were both just kind of like features that people overlooked completely.
To all 12 people that have Vita.
What was that thing that PlayStation had? It was a PlayStation thing, right? Where it was like almost like AR.
The Eye?
The Eye of Judgment.
That was it.
The Eye
yeah.
of Judgment. The Eye
That
of
thing. Remember, it was like you
Amador.
put down Magic the Gathering cards, and the creatures would come out and shit.
yeah.
What happened to that? It
That's the
just-
thing is everyone abandoned AR, which is so weird that all of a sudden Microsoft's like, hey guys, remember AR from
They
2001?
must
Well,
have
here
just
we
been
go.
like, everyone's doing VR. Let's try this thing and see if that works.
What kind of reality is the Amiibos and Skylanders and like? 'cause
That's kind of like
that's
AR.
a
They call
different
that, see,
form
they
of
call that the
that.
Toys to
Toys
Life
to Life.
genre.
Yeah, so that's like the
referred
Lego
to.
Dimensions. That's kind of that's a different world because
it's similar though.
it's readers. I see that as like the next QR code, right?
Yeah.
That's what I see that
Yeah.
as. But AR is kind of in a different realm because it reads certain areas. Because when we even saw it at E3, it was basically like you had a box about this big that you were able to look out of.
Which they've upgraded.
And they put stickers on walls. And as long as you could stay within those stickers, you could see
Oh
stuff.
man, but a Lego Dimensions AR where they're like actually running around on your table.
That'd
and
be great.
stuff. Oh,
That'd be
I'm
awesome.
into it.
Yeah.
Way into it.
Man,
That's the question is like, what's the next step, right? Because that's what we were all talking about with the HTC Vive, and it's like, well, no brand has jumped into this. You know, where the hell is, except for Valve, which is Steam, no brand has really been like, well, this is our next game. This is how we're going to run this. We're going to own
It
this.
seems like they're all waiting to see what happens.
I think it's that warm up before E3. I feel like E3 will get a lot of answers.
It's gonna
like
take a
this year,
long
E3.
time for
But
this to be
it takes,
everybody.
We're how many years into the virtual reality? If like
Three?
Maybe,
there's
yeah.
a study that shows it takes about 10 years for things to fully catch on from conceptualization and putting it out there to it actually being the mass
Virtual reality has
market
been
norm.
a sci-fi dream for like 35 years.
Yeah.
Like, with the holodeck and
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
want a lawnmower, man.
Oculus was like the first where people started taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is
And that was how many years ago?
about 5 years.
So we're about 5 years off.
And I wonder
So,
what,
yeah.
like, the big movie, like, because Ready Player One's going to be out in, like, in what,
Yeah.
2 years? And I feel like that's something that's going to make every single mom and dad and kid and people who just aren't in this technology user base, they're going to be like, oh, hey, this is
what's that?
accessible
Oh.
and cool, and there's
and
possibilities.
it makes great sense, and it could even actually happen faster because you see how obsessed people were with those swagway things. Everyone's looking now. Everyone's so seemingly aware of the future and like what's coming that a lot more people are like, oh, virtual reality. Oh, here's a video of my virtual reality, and then suddenly it's selling
Right.
because we're in this age of information.
Right, because everybody
It can spread
wants, they
faster.
want to admit that it's the future, right? Everybody bought one of those things because of how futury
Right.
it was,
Yeah.
But
and
now
then
we're
they all
actually
blew up.
trying it, and it's amazing.
Yes.
And we're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, this is really good. This has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Like nobody looked at Virtual Boy and they were like, oh my god, this is the future of gaming.
They were like, oh, virtual reality is here. It was. Oh,
They're
no.
like, oh, I can't see anymore.
Yeah, they're like, this is shit. Right away, everyone knew it was shit. But now we have it, and it's like really cool, and the possibilities are endless.
They really are. That's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like it's really hard to not talk about VR and avoid using buzzwords like next
Yeah.
level and like stuff like guys, this is the next level, and I sound like an asshole PR guy.
Has anybody tried to assume, or has anybody talked about like Microsoft? Microsoft like abandoned Kinect, right?
Basically.
Has anybody
They
thought?
released their piece. They just released recently their PC Connect. It's
Oh, okay. So
Which is politically correct, and it actually sees white people and black people now, which is good.
There's a trigger warning
but
before you
still
turn it
not
on.
women. Still not women. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Well, has anybody talked about the possibility of so Microsoft is going to put out their HoloLens or whatever?
Yeah.
Has anybody thought about here's the like pro version of HoloLens that's like $2,000 or whatever, and then here's the Microsoft or the Xbox version of HoloLens.
Well, that's
like
the question.
new Kinect almost.
Because
Has
like
anybody
you
talked
talk
about
a lot about prosumer, and I feel like everything is kind of on the edge of prosumer versus
Yeah.
being strictly pro.
Yeah.
So basically, for those, so it's pro, which is like stuff that like maybe influencers may get for free, but no one actually has the money to buy, like an $8,000 VR unit, like a DK2. Then you've got prosumer, which is kind of a level below, which is like I feel like what the HTC Vive is right now. It's $800, but if you've got the money, you're going to want to buy
or
it.
even like the Samsung.
Well, then there's the question, which is
Gear's
strictly
$100.
consumer.
Right.
So that's another thing, right? Because that I don't consider that VR. I look at that and I consider that's 360 video, which a lot of people
Yeah.
confuse.
Yeah.
Because you've got what YouTube's jumping into, Facebook's jumping
Which
into
is so
it now.
cool. It's still cool.
It's still cool, but I feel like
it's all
that is
powered by your phone.
That's powered by your phone.
It's good to have a gateway device.
Agreed.
To get people
Agreed.
adjusted
Google
and
Cardboard.
interested.
I read a stat that Google Cardboard put out like something like 7.6 billion Google Cardboards were mass shipped in the last 2 years.
That's
How many
I saw
trees
one.
though? How many trees is that though?
It's cardboard, so it's not trees, bro.
What is it? Paper?
Yeah, it's people.
That's still trees.
Still rainforest.
But I mean, you look at something like that. You look at something like the Samsung VR, which I think goes for like $150, which is just a really nice Google Cardboard.
Yeah.
It is.
And you've got a couple of the other ones that are kind of out in the space. What are your thoughts on something like that? Like, I am anti that. I think that's a waste.
Yeah,
because
it's a gimmick to me.
Yeah, because as soon as
That's
you
what
put on
it
the Vive or the Oculus or the PlayStation VR, you're like, this is VR.
Although it's like the poor man's version of that.
Right.
And I think that there's a lot of people that can't afford these high-end VR.
It's a risk.
things.
Right.
So, like, I'm going
It's a
to
bit of
spend
a risk,
$800
but-
on something that I haven't
Yes.
tried before.
Yes. And have you guys seen I tried the Samsung thing, and it had like there was like this Netflix app where you could like it changed your entire living room into like this beautiful living room, and then it had like a massive TV in front of you, and you could look on the couch, and there's like remote controls and magazines,
Virtual girlfriend.
your virtual girlfriend, all that shit. You can watch fucking House of Cards in this weird apartment that's so much better than your own. And I was thinking, this is really cool, but like, when would I ever use this?
Right.
Yeah.
In front of my TV
There are
that already
people.
plays that.
Yeah, there are people though. I mean, for instance, best example. You're in a room full of people. You don't want to have to interact with them. It's family night. You've dealt with it.
I thought about that.
You're not
Thanksgiving,
bothering.
like-
Yeah, it's like, all right, guys. Like, I'm gonna go. Y'all can do what y'all want to do. Oh, you're watching that movie. Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna be over here.
Yeah, but everyone has that cousin that's gonna come by and draw shit on your face.
that's
and,
how you get beat up.
take
So many
embarrassing
dicks.
photos.
Well, that's what I want to see a bunch of Norman Rockwells redone with VR units on their heads.
so good.
But that's the question is like, well, is that's a great way for consumers to jump into it, but I feel like if this is all I had was a Samsung VR or a Google Cardboard, I'd be like, oh, it's a gimmick. I don't care about VR.
right,
And I feel
yeah.
like that taints people.
It does taint people. It's going to come down to Oculus and HTC getting out to more of these like consumer events and conventions and showing people and giving people access to these things. There will be a day where we're seeing like Oculus at Best Buy and people can just like walk in and just try it there,
So
and
many
then they'll become
germs.
believers. I know, right? I always feel that way. Just period. When I touch a demo
I
controller.
washed it off before. I got like a Kleenex, and I was like, oh, I'm getting
So many germs. There's so many germs. Well, that's a problem, right? I mean, it's like going in a ball pit at McDonald's, which I do often.
because there are heroin needles in there.
But
Yeah,
again,
there's-
you put your demo unit at Best Buy, and people are gonna be like, "This is fucking cool. What do I need to make this work?" Well, you need a high-end PC. You need a lot of room in your living room. You need this. You need that. And people are
Right.
gonna be like,
I can't.
What's this?"
But there is no barrier of entry for people like if you talk about Best Buy, Magnolia, right? Magnolia is their high-end TV and sound unit center.
Yes.
So there's not really a barrier of entry there because people are still walking away and buying $500, $600, $1,500 TVs.
That's true.
All
You
it,
need a TV.
but if you have
get
a
TV
VR unit where
sports
your
and
TV is
movies and-
gigantic, do you need it?
But then can VR be sports and movies and travel
Well, there
and
you go.
concerts and
Oh
like
shit!
if
Front
I
row
could-
seats at the
Yeah.
NBA
Every
game, the
time-
basketball game.
Every
Oh
time I'm
shit!
at the Hollywood Bowl and I'm way up there and I can't see the band at all and I can't hear the band at all and the person next to me is like smoking so much and it's just like if I had VR and I could be front row.
Okay, you know what? The first company that does the Samsung VR thing with like front row courtside seats at a live,
live game?
that's it.
And you can do this
That's
and
it.
look at the people next to you.
And that's
all of
your
that-
phone. That's your
all of-
phone.
and
That's
that
not
is-
the
And
the
that
vibe.
is where all of that starts to
be for everybody.
it becomes because this is how I'm seeing it. This is how I saw it when we first started doing it, because I've gotten over fears of things and situations from being in ridiculous situations, and as we function on a platform of experience in society, right? We're getting to experience so many different things and exercise things that we never had to exercise before. We did it. We do it with video games. Far Cry Primal. When is the next time I'm going to have to be a savage person who has to gather stones and so now you can become immersive in that world. It works with that way. Consumerism. I'm going to go to a concert. Couldn't get the tickets. Clock in, pay-per-view. I'm here now. Ooh,
Yeah, you're
singing
at
my
that
song.
WWE
And then there's
thing.
therapy.
You're at
I'm afraid of
WrestleMania.
heights. I'm going to walk across this beam over and over again in order to get over this fear. And then you take off the helmet, and then if you have to do it in
You've
real life, you're like,
experienced it.
I've done this before.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can fucking do
But
this.
you can do all that with your phone. You don't need the
But that's not.
Oculus.
It's not
you
the
don't need any
same.
of that.
Well, yeah, that is
But here,
also.
so here are the
You need
negatives of
cardboard.
the phone stuff. Because you have to have it and you like literally half the screen and see each as a half,
Right.
you're getting about a half of your resolution
Oh, the
of your
resolution
phone.
sucks,
So it
yeah.
looks like ass.
I mean, screens are getting better all the time.
Screens
though,
are
man.
getting better. Everything is getting better. But the sad truth of it is we know the thing that's going to flip the switch on this, and it's going to be porn.
It really
Oh,
is.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, the literal. Well, no. Okay, here's
really is.
Porn has driven every industry.
It's true.
every industry.
I mean,
porn
Blu-ray.
beat porn into porn beat HD DVD in the Blu-ray war. Porn was the pioneer in streaming video.
All the way back to
Yeah.
VHS and
Yeah, it's
beta.
amazing. I hope it's through
But people
health
don't
and
buy
safety and
porn
therapy
anymore. So could that be a factor?
Yeah. That's
Well,
a good-
Pornhub streams virtual 3D porn now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
3D porn experience. Like
Yeah.
when there's a VR
So
porn experience of some
weird.
sort.
Well, for mobile, I could see porn being a savior, honestly, because that's your that's your privacy.
There is a high single-digit number of population percentage of the population that actually own real dolls. If there is a high
weird.
single-digit of the population that do that, there's no reason why those people wouldn't buy a fraction of the cost for VR to have the same
I
experience.
mean, and they're not going to
Exactly.
spend $2,000 on the HoloLens. They're not going
Right.
to spend $800 on the HTC Vive.
Right.
They're gonna, yeah.
The
But
cleanup
well,
is-
here's the question: is that then that's the real barrier, right? Because HTC, you can't get a game release unless it's through Steam, and Steam has a pretty rigorous stopping point, right? You can't put a lot of porn games on Steam. PlayStation, we already know how their terms of service work. There's no way to kind of do it. So then Oculus could be the one that steps forward because Oculus is an open unit.
very open.
And you can literally put all the porn on that. And we know, and it's sad and it's gross and it's sticky. You don't have to wear it after them. But we know that those are going to be the deciding factors that really
Freedom.
set something ahead.
Freedom of creativity will be the deciding factor.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the end here. I do want just kind of like final thoughts. What do you think the winner is going to be and why? Really quick, 2 sentences. Malik, go. You start
PlayStation
first.
VR because it's affordable. From a performance standpoint, HTC Vive all the way.
Okay, Nicole.
I just don't think we're there yet. I think that the technology's there with the Vive and the PlayStation VR, but I don't think enough people are going to be buying it right now that there's going to be a winner right away. I think we've got a few more years before we figure out who everyone has.
Okay, fair enough. Flitz?
I think I'm rooting, I guess, to a degree for Oculus because they've been at it publicly for so long, and a lot of people are going off of what it was, not what it is going to be and can be. But right now, I'm really, really, really enjoying Vive, and I'm very excited.
Fair enough. Lil Danny?
The Vive just came out, and everyone's shitting themselves.
Yes.
Nobody reacted
Literally, because
like
I
that.
won't go to the bathroom because I'm in
And
VR.
it induces diarrhea, which is very strange.
Yeah.
But nobody reacted that way to Oculus. Nobody reacted that way to the Samsung VR, any of that stuff. I think Vive is going to be the champion, but I feel like phone VR is going nowhere. I think it's sticking around. I think it's sticking around. I think it's going to be the consumer version of virtual reality, even though it technically isn't.
That's fair. I honestly think that it's going to be a marriage of the two. I think that Vive is the most fun. It's the most adaptable. It's definitely the best experience.
Yes.
And I have yet to try motion. I've yet to try touch Oculus. I think that there is going to be a marriage of the two. I think that there's going to be some kind of way, because at the end of the day, the number one thing that sells video games is Let's Plays. A lot of Let's Plays, people that go out and they watch their favorite performers play the game and do the thing. I feel like there's going to be some kind of marriage between 360 video and VR, and I think that's going to, I don't think it's a one answer. I think HTC Vive is the most fun right now, and I think 360 video, there's something to be said about it, but I think that's going to be some kind of weird amalgam of the two worlds.
Which one will have the best games is the question.
I think the Vive. So
Vive.
I would
Steam.
argue that Steam has the best
Really-
game.
I feel like they have the best experience, hands down.
I mean, the second they have a Portal game, it's over.
is.
It's over.
Well,
Or
until someone throws up inside of their helmet.
It's open in the mouth. All right, guys, that has been Unpopular Kids. Malik, where can people find you in the internet?
At Malik #4 PLAY on Twitter.
Oh, Malik Foreplay.
I get it. It's a pun.
Got
It's
it?
a pun.
It's a pun.
Yeah. I like to play games, okay?
We get it. Nicole, where can we find you other than, here as much as we want you here?
Nicole Z on Twitter, NIKOLEZ.
That's a 2. That's better. Flitz.
At Flitz on Twitter, Nerdsworth on Instagram, Nerdsworthy on Snapchat. Follow me if you want. Love you. Okay, bye.
Lil Danny. Lil
You
Stevie
can find, I
Zaragoza.
should just change my Twitter handle to Lil Danny.
Lil Danny.
Makes 0 sense. At Steve Zaragoza on everything, Instagram, such, and then you can see me on SourceFed on YouTube.
Yeah, on the YouTubes.
Yep.
And I am not the Jovenshire. I am Matt Raub. Joven may come back, or we may never have him back here again. You tell us what you want to see in the comments below. Also, send us your Unpopular Kids lightning round questions. We use them every week. Someone goes through and finds it. It's usually just Nicole. Usually just flag
spent a
people.
lot of time in YouTube comments.
Lots of time. That has been this week. Next week, we're back. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye!
All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. In reaction to Batman vs. Superman recently, it's this really vibrant, oversaturated, wonderful tale of Superman, and it's nothing.
The simple iconography, the simplifying of the plot lines. Just because the plot line is simple doesn't mean that it's told poorly. It doesn't mean that it's dumbed down.